That's what she said.
That was good. 2 seconds. Intro music. Boom. Quick. Done. Efficient. Should I play the Johnny Carson? Can you hear me, mate?
Oh man, it took us straight up. Let's do it.
What you talking?
Dude, we made it. We're here.
Live as could be. Did you say there was a delay? Oh, here we go. Look, yeah, I just
There's
got the notification.
Dude, this is pretty cool. We're just gonna kick it out, and we're gonna see where it ends up. But we've been trying to do this live deal on YouTube, and man, hey, I'm glad we're back. This is crazy to see yourself and not sure like what's what.
Got a mullet going back there?
It's nuts.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me, brother?
Yeah.
Well, as you can see, what we're doing here is a bit different. You want to be, can you see me now?
Yes, sir. Yeah, see? There you go. There is a huge delay then.
Crazy. Dude, I love it. This is the best way to do the show. We can keep the editing down. We can keep the music on. In fact, I would love to see you in front of the piano. Joel Pilka, Tony Jones, Ordering Chaos. For now, this is the podcast show we're doing. You know, we do on Thursday afternoons. We're going to go live right before the lunch hour. And might not be live all the time. We'll have to see how our schedules permit. But, you know, I'm talking about shaving this beard tomorrow because you gave me the idea of having these beards on and then getting through something and then shaving it off afterwards, right?
What'd you do?
Well, I don't know. I did that little triathlon yesterday.
Yes, I seen that.
It was really the 25,000 step challenge. I was like, after I do this, I'm going to shave it. But I haven't completed all the videos for the YouTube I'm putting out, so I have to keep the beard because I had a beard in those videos.
I like the mullet that's coming in back there. That's 80s as hell, baby. I love it. No, I saved a bunch of those videos because I was loving that documentary style stuff that you were doing too.
Yeah, dude, it's been a lot of fun. Having a tip for anybody doing any type of video stuff out there. Can you hear that in the background?
Like, is there like a TV or radio or something?
It's like I can hear our YouTube show in the background. I'm gonna go mute that or something. There we go.
Yeah. Do you have both windows open where you have YouTube open too or something?
Yeah, I do because the delay is actually not that bad. If you look at it right now, it's real close.
Cool. No worries, man. Yeah, but I can definitely hear something in the background.
I took it off now. Yeah, dude, these challenges, and for anybody doing videos, what I would like to say is that shoot, it might be self-explanatory, but shoot with your already editing in your mind. You know, I said this a couple weeks ago because now I'm overshooting. I mean, yeah, you're like, oh, let's get some B-roll and all that stuff, but in the end, you're gonna have to comb through all that stuff.
Yep.
You know, you're gonna have an hour's worth of footage for a 15 to 20 minute YouTube clip, and you're gonna use
life a living hell,
right?
Man.
And you're gonna be jump cutting, and so, but have that in mind. Be like, study the YouTubes that you want to do, essentially like I'm doing. Find the YouTubes that you like, that you learn from, and then piece one together like that. You know, you talked a lot about e-learning in our show the other day, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And so I think second of all, so do that, right? Think about the ending in mind when you're shooting it. Don't just shoot a bunch of random crap.
Think about everything, like you said, the edits, the cuts, the flow, everything.
When you have to go through. So if you could just take cuts and then fill in the blanks with time lapse is what I'm doing. So yesterday I did my swimming and I just had the time lapse go. And now I can jump in with my little, when I'm saying something and the rest will be like time lapsed. And you don't have to go into the editing and find out how to 2-speed it for that part. You just put that in and it's already time lapsed out. So just think about production beforehand and you'll shoot way less because editing is taking time.
You got to do it though. Once you start doing it, then you'll realize what the hell we're talking about.
That's what I'm finding out. Obviously, yeah. Doing my first ones here, I'm like,
once you start doing it, you get it. Yeah, you start doing everything like that. Like when I take pictures, just photography, straight up stills, I take pictures with that in mind as well. So like I'm not framing, stuff after the fact, or I'm not, straightening horizons and stuff. I make sure all that shit's in frame, so I don't have to do any of that stuff afterwards.
It's like pre-production type of
stuff. It is. It's huge because, like you said, it cuts down. Like I don't even press the trigger on the shutter sometimes because I don't want to have to go through 2,000 pictures. I'd rather go through 20. And if I get 20, that I can really hone in on that are bangers or potential bangers versus 2,000, I'm going to get a lot more done. It's going to seem a lot less
100%
overwhelming.
it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but unless you're shooting probably like a wedding or something where you want to make sure everyone's eyes are open and you gotta
That's
get a
true.
rep. Other than
Then I'm
that,
on like burst, like
yeah.
brrrr, like you hear at the freaking fashion shoots and stuff where it's like sounds like a
Yeah.
machine gun. Yeah, I got that shit. Yeah.
The tape's just, it's just feeding out the back too. It's just not
S-
even, they're like
Sometimes
just
I just turn it on
wasted.
and so it makes me sound professional. You just hold that shutter down and it starts blasting away and you're like, yeah, everybody does this. Is
Dude,
how the
did you
pros
say
do it.
something? Did you say something about this, or did you ever read that book that Tim Ferriss put out? It's the big manual one. It's like Tools
For a
for
work week?
Titans.
Oh yeah, no, no. Tools for Titans, no.
Oh, solid. I'll send it to you. It's gonna
Okay.
be, it's a brick. But this thing's like every chapter is a different, like Chase Jarvis, like
Yes.
a little chapter, and it's an interview. So then he talks about what he's using when he's, and somebody was talking about, and how do you feel about this? When you were downtown shooting people,
Yep, yep.
and besides the ones you engaged with, if you're shooting from across the street
Yep,
and
yep.
they like look at you and they see you photographing them, how do you handle that? Is there
Well,
like or sometimes people engage you on that? Are they like,
it
hey,
depends. It depends. Like sometimes if what I would do, I mean honestly, if I was going to shoot somebody, I would get right up in their face.
well, I've
Like I
seen
mean
you do
like
that.
this
Yeah.
freaking close, dude, and I would just walk right up to them and take the picture. Sometimes I would ask, sometimes I would just do it.
You would just
And
do that to somebody, just boom, right?
right in
Bam.
their face.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
And I
pretty
mean, come
rude.
on, I'm 6'2", 220.
That's
I'm
rude
not
though.
I know it is. And some people think it's rude, some people don't care.
What if
Um
they're like that American Indian guy literally thought you just took his soul away?
there's people that do get punched. There's people that do get, the cameras knocked
Oh,
out of their hands and stuff. And you know what? I've tried both routes and most of the time I'm pretty polite. But there's other times when I'm just walking through a crowd and I'll turn and just take pictures of, a candid moment where, they're this close to my face. So I'm just like boom, boom, and I
yeah.
keep walking. I don't stand there and like look at them like
Oh, in my mind, I envision like someone standing here, and then you just come walking by. You're just like, and then
Yep,
just
and
walk
just
right
drive
by.
by. It's just a drive by, boom.
Just
And I
like,
turn that shutter speed way up so I know I get their face perfectly still. Dude, I was doing it in Vegas. I was doing that in Vegas and it was amazing. Some of the stuff I was getting in Vegas was absolutely awesome. And sometimes I would stop because
oh, Vegas
I
has
would,
got to be
you
great.
know, I'd crane and I'd look at the picture really quick on the screen. I'd be like, damn, that one's really good. I would stop, go back to the person and show them. I'd be like, check that out. That's the picture I just took that, creeped you out. It looks awesome. Here's my
What would
card.
they say? Would they be like, yeah, you're right.
Some people would be like, get
Bounce
the
me
fuck
that.
out of here. Some people would be like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Some people will be like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm just like, oh, I'm just a street photographer. Some people would be like, oh, do you make money doing this? I've had people ask me about that stuff too. Hey, you took a picture of me. You should pay me and shit. Like I've had tons of random stuff like that said to me while I was on the streets and
I can
in
see
places
that these
shooting.
days because everybody's like, it's hard enough to make it. And then, people take picture of you and you think, well, that guy must be, selling to the
Somebody.
tabloids or something for 100K,
Exactly. Yeah. So
baby
I'm like,
King
nah, man.
George's baby.
Just taking documentary street style photos in a kick-ass big city in the United States. Relax.
That's funny. That's like saying, it'd be really cool. This is actually a good tip if somebody wants to get into photography. You can do 1,000 things, but what if you called up a wedding photographer and said, hey, bring me out on one of your bigger weddings and you don't have to pay me and just, I'll, what if I get some good shots, we'll talk. That way you get to showcase what you can do and you're not asking them to pay you. Like it's a good way to meet people and stuff. And that's what I would think.
Wedding photography is weird. Wedding
Okay,
photography
so
is
don't use
super
wedding photography,
sketchy.
brother. Use anything you want, but just get somebody that does snowboard pictures. Be like, hey, you don't have to pay me. I'll
Sure.
come out, pay my own way. Um, that would be pretty unique.
Yeah, that's exactly how you do it. But the trouble is to find somebody that'll let you tag along.
Yeah,
That's the trouble.
somebody like you.
Yeah, I let people tag along all the time. I always tell people, let's meet up in the city, blah, blah, blah. I'll show them exactly what's up. You can follow me around. I'll give you some tips. I'll show you some of the alleys. I'll show you some of the cool spots that no one knows about.
Show you some
Shit
of the
like that.
alleys as he clicks a knife out.
Yeah.
I'll show you the
Show you
back.
some of the back alleys. I just got a new SOG and it's got the assist button. So you
Oh
just hit the
yeah,
little button and it's like, come at me,
that's
bro.
like as close as you get to a switchblade. It's
Yeah,
probably better
these
than
are
a
better.
switchblade.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah,
gonna say that. These are better.
yeah.
No,
Or
but
the
I just get
butterfly knife.
I just keep these bad boys in the boat just in case, or I'll keep them on me when you go exploring and shit, because you never know.
Never
You
know.
need a knife. You got to saw your arm off if you get trapped between two rocks. What was that movie?
Something like 72 hours or something. I never
Yeah,
saw it. Yeah.
yeah.
Between a rock and a hard place.
Trust me, if that's the case, you want a sharp ass knife. Get
Yeah.
it done.
Well,
Get
that's
it done,
true.
son. So I'm all about, but yeah, I've been addicted recently to, first of all, I haven't been able to do too much well, let's go mind, body, then goal. So let's do mind first, then I'll get to body later. But mind wise, what I've been recently doing, and this kind of ties into my goal too, is I just been saturating my brain with stock market information and making money. Because one of the goals, because I just started, how I do those journals, and I have those 13-week journals. I sent you one. You
Yep.
know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So I just started
100%.
another one. So
Yeah, I
this
love
one's,
those. Ooh, I like that sticker. Dragon.
yeah, the dragon. That's the name of one of the
Dragons.
that's the name of the capsule that holds people that SpaceX shoots into space.
Really?
The
Why are
Dragon
they always
capsule.
naming things the coolest?
They're because fucking Elon Musk is the man, dude. So anyway, the reason why I got into stocks kind of is, this is a great tie-in, man, is because of my Tesla. I have Tesla stock, and I have 40 shares, and I bought them at like $300, and now they're over, about 1,400, and
Wow.
that's a huge win. It was about $50,000 win, and it got me addicted again to making money. And one of my goals in that book, you write out your goals in the beginning and everything, and then you track them over 13 weeks, and you see how far you get, and you put a whole plan in place and everything. That's how it's guided. And you know what I'm talking about. You've seen it before. So my three goals for this one were, one of them was to get under 200 pounds. So I'm at 204. That was my
Nice.
lowest weigh-in. So I'm close. Um, and that's just in 2 weeks. I've dropped 2 pounds. And when I started it, the goal, I was about 206, 207. So that was one of them. Another one was save enough money to get halfway to buying my Tesla, because I'm going to get a Tesla Model Y, because I want that car, and I'm going to get the car.
Model Y. So,
Yeah.
like, I don't know what that means. Is it a bigger one? Is it the little
It's
one?
like a crossover
Oh,
Tesla.
okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
so it's got a little more room in it. It's not a sedan.
That
It's
would make
not like
sense.
it's not a bigger, like the Model X has got more, room, like almost like a minivan
Nice. Yeah.
with the gull wing doors and shit. But that Model Y is like the perfect crossover, and it's got the latest of all their technology and shit already built in. So I want that one. And that's going to cost like 50 G's. So I'm going to try to save at least 25 grand. So I'm like, how am I going to get 25 grand out of thin air? I was like, there's only one way to do that, and that's in the stock market, right? Or in, like, some sort of other investing. So let's just call it investing instead of just, Jesus Christ, instead of stock market, we'll just call it investing, right? So you have to figure out a way to invest into that. Let me close this and turn this shit off so that doesn't happen again.
No, you're good.
Whoa. But anyway, so I was like, okay, let me look into this a little bit. And I remember back in the day, I used to be addicted to investing, really, hardcore and stuff. And then I looked back into it a little bit again, and one of the things that I really cleaned up on was a strategy that you use with stocks and options called covered calls, right? So I would pick up 100 shares of a stock, and I would sell 1 month of like rent on my shares. That's pretty much how you think of it. You're like a landlord. You rent this place out for a month. You get like $300. At the end of the month, they can stay and pay you another $300, and you keep that apartment, or they can buy that apartment from you, and you have to sell it to them at the price that you set up when you wrote the contract and all that, right? But you get to keep all the money. Like if you sold the contract at 35 when the stock was at 30, you get to keep the $5 plus the 300 that you sold for the monthly rent. So you're going to get like an $800 check, and then you just turn around and either buy the stock again, or you do it on a different stock or whatever. So it's
So
a
someone
quick
buying
way.
an option from on yours, essentially.
Yes, I'm going to sell a contract, an options contract on my stocks, and someone will buy that from me. And what they're gambling with is, hey, I don't have, $10,000 to buy 100 shares, but I do have 300. So I'm going to take this $300, and I'm going to buy a contract from you that says I can do something, that I have options, at the end of the month, to either buy the shares from you if I do have the money then, or I can just, take this contract and sell it because it'll be worth more money at that point. Or I can do nothing and it'll expire, but that's stupid if the stock went up. So it gives you options. That's why it's called options. So, but it's a quick way to make money if you know some simple shit about the stock market. And the stock market is not that crazy, really. You just buy companies that you know. Like if you love Starbucks, you buy Starbucks. If you love Apple, you buy Apple. If you love Microsoft, you buy Microsoft. If you love Nike shit, you buy Nike. If you love, you get my point. You look around your house, you can find 5 stocks that you'll love to death, and most of them will pay a dividend, and most of them will be pretty good at playing this game. So like, let's use Starbucks for example. So Starbucks is going for like $70 or something right now. So I'll buy 100 shares of Starbucks. That cost me $7,000 up front, right? So then I can turn around, like I said, and I can rent my shares for 30 days, and someone's going to pay me $250. Now that $250 is immediately mine. I get it, goes right into my account. Boom. So now I just wait. So, at any time during the 30 days, they can take my 100 shares. But like I said, they have to pay me whatever the strike price was that we sold this contract at. So like I said, so if the shares were $70 and if I sold the 75 call for a month, I'd get like $250. So if the shares go up to $75 or higher, that person's going to take my 100 shares for $75 and I will gladly sell that to him because I'm going to get $500 because 70 to 75, that's $500 right there because you're timesing everything by 100 plus the 250. So I made $750 in 1 month doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah. How
And
do
then
you
here's
allow?
here one more part.
Yeah.
If there's a dividend, let's say there's a $2 per stock dividend that quarter that hits too. I just made another $200. So now we're talking about $925 in 1 month for doing nothing.
That's really awesome. I love how you broke it down. I love how you broke it down. That's really cool. How do you have to set up the arrangement for somebody to buy the option?
Nope.
You know what I mean?
It's
Like,
all handled through the market manager and the brokerage.
so you have to let them know that you're okay with what? Renting
Nothing.
your stuff?
All you do is once you put that move on, or once you put that option on, they take care of everything else. They take care of the assignment. They'll buy the contract immediately for
So
whatever the bid ask is. They'll do it all. You don't have to worry about shit. It's all automated.
if you do a covered call and you're like,
Mhm.
you bought it for 70, yeah, and you're putting it out there, you say, okay, I'm willing to sell it at 75.
That's
You
exactly
have to
what it
wait to
is. You're
see if
willing to sell it.
you have to wait to see if somebody's going to buy that.
No, you just wait through, like I said, so if it's 30 days, right? You just wait because as the time goes by, that options contract will be worth less.
Yeah.
And if the stock stays where it's at, and let's say it trades between like 65 and 74, that's a perfect scenario because they're not going to take that stock from you because it's not worth it. They could buy it cheaper on the open market. You follow me?
Yeah.
Um,
But they
so
want
so
the option in case.
it goes higher. They're
Yeah.
betting on it going above that $75 price point, even a penny, and they'll take it for a
So
penny,
how do you get
discount.
charged? Do you like, let's say the option
You own
expires
the
in 30
shares
days.
already.
Yeah. You
So
already own
that's
it.
it. You don't get charged shit. They just take your shares and they give you, like I said, $500 because you went from 70 to 75. So you would actually get money if that happened.
Oh, dude,
So
I
so
can't wait to play this game. I
the only
can't wait.
bad thing is that you have to pay taxes because you made money. That's it.
But isn't there a way, unless this is when you're actually doing options, isn't there a way when all of a sudden you're like somehow you're like, oh my God, I owe 4 grand. Like,
No, that's shorting shit. That's when you
yeah,
short stuff, and or when you work on margin accounts and stuff, and
there
they
you
don't
go.
allow that stuff anymore. You have to actually ask for different levels of trader, accessibility and stuff
Yeah.
nowadays. You just don't have carte blanche to fucking start rolling iron butterflies and shit. They won't just let anybody do that.
Iron butterflies.
That's another option strategy, right? With extended wings and shit, and you'd be like, this guy wants level 4 options fucking access. What? You know? Right. But there's some crazy shit, dude, with options. It'll blow your mind. And just the covered call strategy alone is like the best way to dip your toes into options and how valuable they truly are. And like I said, so I'm sitting here trying the whole reason this happened was because I'm trying to find a way to make $25,000
Yeah,
out of thin air.
to get a car.
And like I said, so back in the day, like back around when, you know, the stock market crashed in 2008, 2009, I was in the stock market game and I lost a lot of money. So I was like, oh my God, I want to make this back. How can I make a lot of money back as quick as possible? So I looked into it and I found that options were the best way to make money and protect yourself from losses, you know, lower your risk. So I was like, beautiful. So then, like I said, the first thing you find out about is covered calls. And I ended up making all my money back that I lost on running covered calls on a stock called Michael Coors. You know, the guy that makes
Yeah,
like purses and shit.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that dude. He had he was on the ticker. I don't know if they're still even on, you know, publicly traded or anything like that, but um that was a perfect stock. It traded in a range. I was able to get great, you know, premiums is what you get for renting the stock out per month. I was able to get great premiums. So I was making like $360 per contract. So like let's say you have like 300 shares of this stock. You can times that, you know, $300 by 3. So you're making $900 flat out without anything. It doesn't matter what the stock does. If it goes down, here's the crazy part. So people are like, well, what if the stock goes down? He's going to lose value on the 100 shares that he's sitting on. Here's the best part. Let's say that $70 stock that we were using for an example goes down to 60. So now I've lost $10 in value on the shares, and I own 10 or 100 shares. That's a lot of cash. You know, you're seeing that in your account as a negative, you know. So what you do then is you're like, "Oh, I sold the 75. That's 75 that I got $300 for at the beginning of the month." But let's say this is like 2 weeks the stock, you know, is dropping. You know, 2 weeks into your 30 days. So you're like, oh, how much is that worth now? So you look at it, it's like, oh my God, it would cost me $50 or let's say $20 to close this out. So you buy that contract back, you close out the deal. So I made 300 at the beginning of the month. I spend 50 to close it out. So now I'm still positive $250. And then I look at the stock at $60 and I'm like, I'd be willing to sell that at 70. And you get another $200 because you sell the option for the remaining 2 weeks, or you get another 150, let's say, or 100. Who cares? You get another $100 just because you're rolling it out. So, or actually, you're just rolling it down. You're not even rolling it out. You keep in the same date. You just roll it down. You can roll it down and out too if you want. You can make even more money. So if I rolled it down and out, I would be adding 30 more days to my 15. So now I'm at 45 days until my option expires. But I'd end up making like $400 on that because there's way more time, you know.
So how does the price of the people renting it get set by the value of the stock? So if it's $1,000, it's just a percentage of that or something?
It is, and it's also based on like how popular it is. So, for example, if there's a lot of volume on that $75 strike price, because that's a really, you know, good price based on where the stock's been moving and stuff, you're going to see a ton of volume on that,
Yeah.
and that might actually shrink some of the pricing. Or if you see a bunch of volatility, that'll increase your pricing. There's a bunch of little things that you'll figure out once you start getting into this that'll make um, you know, things easier for you to follow. But for the most part,
Yeah.
if you watch 2 videos on fucking YouTube about this, you'd be like, that's it. That's all I got to do. I mean, it's that crazy. And
That's
you know
crazy.
what it's like to be a landlord. It's literally like that. You're renting this out for a month.
Yeah, no, that's see, I think people don't even understand that, and they don't understand maybe how easy the mechanism is. Now, the reason it gets so difficult is the permutations and all the other stuff involved and like all the crap. But dude, this is a great place to start. I think this is going to be a lot of fun, for people to explore that option.
Well,
Mhm.
think about this. So, how do you make enough money? Like you said, you talked about this for months on your podcast. How do you make enough money to achieve escape velocity, like we always talk about? And one of the ways I think is this. You know, I talked about dividends on my stock or on my podcast, and talking about how you should buy stocks with, you know, 4 or 5% dividends instead of keeping your money in a savings account that only pays you 1% if you're lucky. You know, the best of the best savings account will give you 1.5% on your money. That's bad. That's really bad.
Yeah,
So if you take all of your money and literally just do nothing but just put it into Verizon, you'll make 4.8% on your money instead of 1.5 or 1, you know, or zero point 0.9, which is reality for most of us.
that's crazy.
Um, It's crazy different. And then you get that dividend from Verizon. Plus, if the stock goes up, you get that appreciation, which it will because it's a juggernaut. And then
Yeah.
if you reinvest your dividends, your money will make more money. So now instead of just letting it sit there and pile up as cash, you're taking it and you're putting it right back into Verizon. And this happens automatically. You don't have to do anything. You just hit a box, check a box when you buy the stock that says reinvest my dividends. And
Mhm.
that's called compounding capital. And then your money just grows and you don't do anything. It just, you just keep buying more shares. So then when the dividend hits, because I own more shares, I get more money. And then boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, you're making $3,000 a month in dividends. Now, here's the kicker. Here's the best part. If I've owned those
Next thing you know.
stocks, if I own those stocks for more than a year, I only pay capital gains. Well, on any sale. On dividends, I pay capital gains no matter what.
Got
So if I pay 15% on $3,000 a month, that's a way fucking better than paying 24%, which is your income tax rate in
Mhm.
Illinois or whatever for what I make. Let's say I'm just kind of guessing off the top of my
Yeah.
head. It's something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that,
yeah.
mid 20s.
Yeah.
That's horrible. I mean, like you can make less money per month because you're getting taxed less and still live the same. This is how you do it.
That's crazy, right?
This is how you
It
retire.
doesn't
This
sound right, and people are afraid of it because of that. I mean, I can tell you that my mom's so afraid of the stock market, like was in it for a minute, but
hmm
kept all of her money in the bank because she was so scared of losing it. She missed out on making a bunch more.
dude, listen. I mean, I'm telling
I
you right
couldn't, I
now.
didn't, and I didn't want to convince her because I was like, what if I convince her and she doesn't do well because maybe she hires a bad guy or whatever the hell, people get taken advantage of, and then all of a sudden it was my advice, you
No
know?
doubt. I mean, that's why I control my money's under my control. No one, I don't have any broker dudes or
Yeah,
money investment guys or anything like that that I pay for any of this shit. I do all my own work. And I got accounts with multiple six figures in them as proof that this shit works. I'm not
well,
just making this shit up because I saw a couple of YouTube videos and I'm like, oh my God, that's so fun. No.
that's how I feel. I'm like, oh, let's throw money at it.
I mean, like here, I can show you one of my accounts right here. I'll bust it out. Just, I don't even give a shit. It's not going to show any, like bad information or anything like that. Watch this. I'm just going to show just for proof.
Proof. We don't need
Just
proof.
for
We trust.
proof. Bow, bow.
I don't even
Why?
want to see it.
Hang on. Why is this
This is
doing?
valuable information, man. It's and it sounds like for people that know this stuff, they're probably just like, yeah, of course. But I think the majority of us don't, and I'm including myself there. That's a blanket statement, but I don't know. I think there's stuff that we've learned
It's
and
hard to
we've
see
over the
anyway.
course of our lives, but we don't take the time to go sit into it
Well, I mean, honestly,
because it
like you
sounds too
said,
difficult.
and you know what? I think they kind of keep the stock market sounding difficult for that reason, to keep like the lazy people out. Not, I shouldn't say lazy. I should say, um,
It's laziness, man. That's it. Come on, we
it
could
kind of
all be a
is.
little bit better shape. We could all lose weight and all that crap.
Yes.
We're just lazy.
Yes.
And I
We could all
default to
learn a little bit
laziness.
more shit. We could all eat a little bit better. Yeah,
That's
exactly.
why I do these challenges, man. It's because otherwise I will just be lazy. And so if I give myself a daily goal, it gives me a purpose other than my family and my job and blah, blah, blah. It just gives me this other thing to do. Last night was awesome. I slept great. I mean, I worked my buns off. It was 9:40 at night and I could still eat close to 3,000 calories because I was burning so many.
Yeah.
And my diet was a little off. I was probably a little light in calories in the morning. So,
Did
but
you mess with your move goal on your watch?
yeah, I changed it to 1,000.
Nice.
I never even saw that because I was like, you're like, yeah, maybe move it to 1,000. And immediately I was like, what's he talking about? I was like, oh yeah, definitely 500 is not going to cut it, man.
No, no, no. A grand is a good challenge.
Yeah, that's a good challenge. When I saw that on there, because I would do my normal day and I would be like, oh my gosh, I'm not even close to this. But check this out. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
even trying to do my steps. And I'm about the last few days, and I'm just normal. I'm not even walking anywhere. I'm driving my car. I'm at like 19,000 a day now. So
Yeah.
it's like my step average has just gone up,
Through the roof.
and I'm not even trying to go walking. That's why I knew yesterday the
I love it.
triathlon portion. So this was a little bit of a cheat, right? I
Yeah.
started with a 10-mile bike. Then I came home and then I forgot I had to go to the freaking airport to pick up my buddy's mom and then this and that. And next thing you know, I was like, don't have time for this. I'm like, what did I commit to?
Yeah.
But the swimming part is what takes a lot of time.
Yeah, it is.
And so I did it out of order. I did the bike first, and then I did the swimming, and I knew that my steps would come from my walking throughout the day.
Yeah.
So I didn't go run 6.2 miles. I just knew it would happen through the course of my walk. And I just want people to know that look at your day. If you actually just took if you took an hour and a half bike ride and went for a 30-minute swim every day, you might actually be doing a triathlon. I think we're doing more than you think. And then when you think of triathlon in our heads, we're like, that sounds like this unsurmountable task.
Like you have to train for
And when you
months.
look at so there's a bunch of different, levels of triathlon, Ironman, and all that stuff. But I
Hell
did the
yeah.
Olympic, which it said Olympics. So I was like, and I searched all over the place. If it's good enough for the Olympics, this should count.
Let's go to Hawaii and do the real one. You can wear that collared shirt and those sunglasses and everything, dude.
I will totally do that. I'm in 100,000,000%.
I don't even know if they're gonna do that shit anymore, like Spartan racing and stuff, because of this whole COVID nightmare.
I
Because
bet
I
they
get all
will.
those emails and everything, and I'm like, God, dog.
People are gonna go back to the way they want things because they're
Well, and I
gonna
don't know if
make
these guys can make it
life
happen
great
though as a
again.
business. You know what I mean?
I think they will. I think people will do it. It'll change, right? Like you've always talked about. It'll be going up to Montana with a group of 25 people as opposed to 400 people. Like you
That's
don't even see half the people, and it makes
40,000.
parking horrible. What if you just go up
Yeah.
with like 25, 30
Make your own
badasses?
course, or yeah, there's actually on
Mm.
Strava and shit. You can go on Strava and there's like predetermined like little courses that you can run and put your times up against other people and stuff. There's one, what's funny is you said that you did a 10 or 12 mile bike ride or whatever yesterday. So did Rachel, and because there's a bike, well, it's not even a bike course. It's a bike path through a forest preserve right over here by the house, and if you go on
Was that
Strava,
Bussy? Was that
that
Bussy Woods?
no, this one is
I'm just kidding.
it's
Sorry.
by Bodie, but Bussy's
Oh,
another good one. We do Bussy too, but and that one's on Strava as well. So these closed loops like that end up going onto this program where everybody that rides bikes called Strava. It's also for running and other sports too. But they'll time themselves using their watch or their phone or something like that through
yeah.
Strava, and then those times automatically get posted. There's like a leaderboard and shit, like on how
Oh,
good,
yeah.
like all time records.
You
So
have to
people are
game.
like whipping around this fucking thing trying to break the all time record, and they're like, "Get out of my
Calm down.
way!"
It's Tuesday at lunch. Yeah. Get out of my way.
And you're just like, "Damn."
You're like, I'm just trying to get my steps in.
And I didn't realize
Calm
how
down.
serious it was, as serious as a heart attack. So I look at the Strava, I'm like, oh, that dude's trying to break like the record. He's doing like laps.
There goes Billy.
And I mean like 10 miles or 12 miles, whatever that thing is. And you see that guy coming, by it feels like every 5 minutes. You're like, he is
Dude,
flying.
dude, check this out. I just got an idea here. Like, so, you know how they do drone races? And like
Yeah.
people just sit in a tent and they all have the thing on and they're just piloting their drone flying around. I think that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But what if like so this guy's flying around on the path, let's say Lake Arlington, picture Lake Arlington. He's
Yeah.
flying around on this bike and there's these two old ladies like sitting on a bench, right? Or just me and you. But then we have headsets on. So now we see him racing like it's a game of freaking Quidditch. And we see him going around and there's like fans and there's like all this stuff going on. We're like, oh yeah, Billy. But you take it off and you're just at the park.
Listen, that's
Oh,
all
man.
VR, dude. I'm
I
telling
know. It's
you.
gonna be
Have you
so
messed with VR yet?
so this last trip when I went to see my mom, my
Yeah.
brother had it at his house. We put Payne in it. Me and Payne were blown away. And I
Yeah.
was like, look, don't play the scary stuff for him because it's too real. She's like, yeah, I don't want to get him locked into some guys jumping out like,
I'm telling you, there is some wild shit. Like if you play Beat Saber and some of the stuff, when we get together and you come over this way, I'll show you some crazy shit with Beat Saber. You'll love it because it's music driven. It's a beat game,
I
it's
can't
all
wait.
music.
I need to
But
get into it.
I mean, there's everything. And like you said, in the future, that'll be the way to learn anything. Like if you want to learn how to shoot a bow and arrow or horseback ride or like fucking
Oh my God.
whatever, it's going to be through VR. It's that good. Like I'm telling you, the golf game that I have in VR is wild.
I
It
gotta play.
literally feels like you smoke that ball down the middle. You have no idea, that's it's any different. It's
Shit,
nuts. Like you
really?
can even turn the club in your hand. You know what I'm saying? Dude, yeah, it's
Oh
wild.
man. Dude,
Super
I
fucking
know I
wild.
sent it last minute, but I sent you a clip,
I
like an
saw
audio
it and I
clip.
sent it to a bunch of people too already.
Oh,
It was
you
so
already
good.
heard it?
Oh, I watched that video. And I sent it to a bunch of people because I thought it was so good.
Hold on,
I
what
was,
video?
didn't you send me a video or some shit?
hold on. This happened with Jenny and I. So I sent something and then and
You
I told
sent
her what I saw. And she's like, that's not what I sent you.
you sent me some dude. It looked like Roman Reigns. He's like, hey man, this is all bullshit.
Yeah, that's good
Everything.
stuff, man.
You know, hey man,
He's just
they're telling you double speak, bro. Wake the
double
fuck
speak,
up.
double
Yeah,
talk.
it's so true though. That's what I preach, and everyone thinks I'm nuts.
No, you are. And that's why I wanted to tie it in. Like, so he's talking about this mask stuff is all BS and how
It
they're
is.
really trying to get a look. This is more
Ask a fireman,
AI for
dude.
facial recognition. And then they want partial facial recognition. And then like all this stuff, they're trying to
I
take
got news
advantage
for
of.
you, dude. I fuck around with that artificial intelligence. And yes, 100%. The only way for a machine learning to work is the machine has to learn. So you have to have real world scenarios where this thing can watch and see what's up. So, for example, Tesla has autopilot, right? Here's
Yeah.
the thing about autopilot that everyone doesn't understand, and artificial intelligence in automobiles that everyone doesn't understand, and why Tesla should be worth 5 grand right now, not 1400. Okay. Um, in order for the Tesla to be truly autonomous, it has to have years of data where we interact with it. So the thing is driving itself. Let's say it's even just controlling your speed at first, like cruise control, you know, whenever we undo the cruise control because of traffic or something, it will learn. It will understand why we're doing that. Now let's advance it to like Tesla. Like it has lane control and shit. It has, you know, different types of feedback that we give it where we have to jump in and take control because it doesn't know what to do in certain scenarios. And then it will learn what we do in that scenario and how we're turning left or how we stop at this stop sign. It'll see this and it will learn. So as time goes by and as more data is collected when people are driving Teslas, whether you're on autopilot or not, it's collecting data and it's sending it back and it's learning from everybody's use of this thing. So that's how artificial intelligence works. You can't get it to do any unless you input the scenarios, and you're limited to how many scenarios you can input in, based on time and how many coders you have and how many scenarios you can think up. But if you just let the AI come up with all that shit, it can do a way better job way quicker. But you have to have the actual scenario play out for it to see and to actually watch and you
Mhm.
know learn from. So yes, that's 100% plausible that they could be running massive testing on an artificial intelligence to where it can pick up anybody at any time, you know, no matter what they're wearing, no matter what, blah, blah, blah. And they're testing all that right now for sure.
What if it's, yeah, and just pattern movements. I heard somebody say the other day on
Yeah, all of it,
that
all that data. It's
just
all
stealthily
data.
about, they're like, hey, everybody's traveling again. The flights aren't booked up, but we can see everybody moving around the country. And you're just
Right.
like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, even though we knew that, it's just interesting to hear them say it out loud. You're
The
like,
data.
oh yeah,
Data
we're
is
going
worth
around.
more than anything, worth more than gold, worth more than oil, worth more than anything on the planet. Data is worth more than anything.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was a fun little video. Dude, I got a big day here, man. We're doing this week now. This is a honeydew challenge week.
Uh-oh.
So today's what, Thursday? Man, I have been really not getting a lot done. I've been doing a bunch of other stuff. So today, after I get off this call, I got a half-hour call with work. And then I go to the backyard to chop, cut, trim, whack, and gravel some stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, my work call got canceled. I'm super lucky. I'm gonna go hit the golf course again, and I'm gonna just pray that it
Ooh,
doesn't pour on us. I
nice.
shot an 89 the other night. I was super pumped with that.
Anytime breaking 90, breaking 80, like
Yeah.
whatever the
I was super
wheelhouse
pumped
is.
with that just because you know, like I played solid as hell. And then I just missed a couple of easy putts. You know, I could tell exactly where I gave back, you know, at least 6 strokes, you know, on the course, just off the top of my head. And I was just like, you know, that was a pretty effortless round though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I didn't have to grind it out.
Yeah.
And like I wasn't dead by the end.
I said that to somebody one time, a couple times, and then after I said it, I think it's funny. But I shot, I don't know, I had 7 birdies one time. I had five
Yeah.
birdies on the front nine, and at the end of the round, and I only shot one under, but it was cool. But at the end of the round, I
Yeah.
was like, man, that was just easy. I'm like, I didn't have to
Effortless.
try.
Yeah.
Even when I was putting, I was just looking at the hole, and I was like, yeah, that looks
Knocking
great.
it
It would go
down.
in,
Yep.
and I and of course it would be easy, especially if you're not hitting as many shots. But it is funny when you play well, you're like, wow, that was just kind of effortless. It's
Effortless.
so fun, so fun.
It was, and I had a great time. We played at a decent pace too, so that helped out too. I think because that keeps you in your groove. You don't have to,
Yeah,
wait on the tee all day. But yeah, so we have really good courses here and really cheap, and it might storm and shit, but we're gonna go out there and try to do that today. And I got lucky, so we're gonna go play at like 350. But yeah, man, I've been watching the stock market. And I really, really, really want, like, I set up an account for Dakota, and
yeah,
I took Dakota, and I'm like, hey, what stock should I buy for you? And she's like, what's my options? And I'm like, think of anything, anything you can think of. I'm like, so for example, I'm like, you love Apple, you love Disney, you love, stuff like that. And she's like, yeah, buy those. And I'm like, okay, cool. So, I started buying things like that, even 2 shares, 5 shares, 8 shares. And then I threw some of my, my own preferences like Verizon and AbbVie, just because they're big dividend players, so that money will grow,
yeah.
quicker, even though Disney plays a dividend and so does Apple. But yeah, you get my point. And I have another account that's separate from that as well. And I just was like, man, you know what, dude, this is the way to get out of the rat race. This is the way to truly be able to like make some moves, watch some shit on your phone, while you're chilling at the pool, for the rest of the month, and just have some alerts set up so that if stuff starts to go awry, you can take control, and like I said, roll down and out or up and away or whatever you need to do. And you just, this is how those dudes, you're like, how do these guys in like Miami and like fucking, New York and all these places, how these guys just, hanging out and doing whatever they want to do all day, and paying rent and paying the bills and shit. This is how they do it.
Interesting. I can't wait. I'm jumping all in, man. It's gonna be fun. I
Yeah.
haven't done it in a long time too. And Jenny and I had the quick conversation this morning. Actually, it was kind of an impromptu interview about her company. I just put the phone on record and I started asking her questions. And one of her going through her trust and estates continuing education class, because they're doing a lot of trust and estates and wills, estate planning for people now. Being a lawyer, she said that when you reach your financial maturity by like 38,
Okay.
we reach financial maturity. And I said, well, wait a minute, like earning power, like I can earn the most because I'm at that level where you should be reaching a certain, and then because that's how I took it, she said no. She said, like, how you manage your money.
Yeah, your understanding of it.
Yeah, because you're
Mm-hmm.
not spending it like you're 21. You're not spending it like you're 75. And you're like, or whatever. You just, yeah, your understanding of how to manage your own money is mature by about 38.
Yeah, I
You're not
could see
going to
that.
go blow the paycheck on hookers and booze.
Yeah, you have more responsibilities and stuff at that point too. And I think that a lot of people though nowadays aren't, man, it blows my mind when I talk to people and I'm like, well, how much how close are you to your retirement, like
Yeah,
your retirement goals? And they're like, I don't have a retirement plan set up or anything. I'm like, what? Like, what? You're 40. The fuck?
I
What are you
know.
gonna do?
I know.
Like, I don't understand. So many people are like that, and it blows my mind.
I know.
It straight blows my mind. It's
Well,
kind
I
of,
don't.
if that was me, dude, I wouldn't be able to sleep.
Yeah. No, I know
I
a
don't know
lot of
how
people
people
can't
sleep.
sleep because of that, and that's definitely a popular position. I think maybe it stems from parents that didn't educate us. And I'll use myself because it took me a long time before I started saving. And I'm not blaming it on our parents, but I just feel like it wasn't something that was ever instilled in me. It was kind of like they were the reverse from their parents who were penny pinchers. They had good economy, they had money, and they spent it on us. And so I don't know. I'm not saying all parents are that way,
Sure.
but I waited a long time. I remember my buddy graduated college and when going right into like the game of selling, policies, insurance policies, and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
truthfully, if I would have bought one back then, and kept it, it might have been had some sort of cash value by now. But just little things like that you don't think of when you're 22 or 23. You're like, well, I'll get to that later. You
Dude,
know,
I got a
but you think
story. Did I
about.
tell you my Apple story from back in the day when I graduated high school?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so I have a story just like that. So when I graduated high school, my mom says to me, for high school graduation, she's like, "What do you want for a graduation gift?" And I'm like, "I want Apple stock." And at the time, it was literally like
Okay.
a buck 50, dude, like a
Wow.
dollar 50. That's what they were at.
Wow.
And she's like, because I had, Apple computers and stuff growing up and everything. And And she's like, "Well, I don't know how to do any of that stuff." Because this was before the internet. It was 95, before the internet was like it is today. It was around, but it was really shitty.
Yeah.
And and there was no online brokerage. You had to call somebody, you had to pay these commissions and all this craziness. And my mom didn't know how to do any of that shit. And granted, I could have probably stepped in and tried to help out and figure that out and made some calls or do something, but I was kind of intimidated and young and stupid too.
Yeah.
So it never really panned out. But I told her, I'm like, that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. And she never made it happen. But that's not the point. The point was is that um, if I would have gotten that stock today, and I would have put in like it was like $2,000 or something like that, that the value of that stock today would have been 3.6 million.
Holy shit. That's awesome.
3.6 million. Because I mean, like literally, I looked it up. If I bought stock, I typed this into Google and it was crazy
Yeah.
because some dude had the exact scenario
Same
set up
question.
too.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I bought stock or Apple stock in 95, how much would it be worth today? And there was like a scenario right there. And I was just like, holy shit. And it was kind of heartbreaking.
That's so
It was a
fair
little
because,
fucking
yeah, of
heartbreaking.
course. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's always the story. And it's hindsight. It could have been any stock. It just so happened. But actually, you know what? I always use that as a win because that means that your instincts are right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then you go, hey, let me just listen to my instincts. And sometimes I'm going to be wrong, but at least I'm trusting myself.
Dude, I hit
So
a
you
four
had the
bagger
right
on
idea.
Tesla, bruh.
You were totally on the right idea. Tesla, you crushed on. You told me to jump on it, and then you're
Four
just
bagger.
killing it. So, but now I like what you're saying. I think it's going to go even way up. Would you say 5 or 4 or something like that?
Man,
Inevitably,
their
inevitably.
price target has been increased and misrepresented for like the last like 6 months at this point. But like I said, I think that they're already the most valuable car or automaker in the world now. They passed Toyota.
If they
I don't
could
even
get,
know, dude.
they don't have to, but if they
Three
could get the
grand.
barrier to entry even a little bit lower,
They
yeah,
are.
they
They
will.
just decreased the prices on the Model 3 and the Model 3 in China.
Yeah. I mean, what can they get it? Where can they get it below 20?
I doubt it. They're going to probably end up doing something where they politic or lobby for more incentives, state by state for like EV conversion and shit. And
No, that
that'll
makes
help bring
sense.
down the price even more.
Well, the funny thing is, if any
Tax
money they're getting
incentives.
for solar, they're probably just pumping right over to their, where it's needed.
I would say the money that they're getting from their cars are pretty much making everything float. Like that solar company hasn't taken off as much as it needs to yet.
Well, but what I mean is like they're going to be they get like government kickbacks
Oh
because of
yeah.
solar, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh
because of
yeah, they
the
got a huge chunk of
so
change for, subsidization for that solar shit that they bought cuz they pretty much took Solar City, which was losing money hand over fist off their hands
I saw that.
and turned it around. So I mean like the government owes them big time for
Yeah.
taking that pile of shit and turning it around to something that'll work.
No, you're right. It's interesting. I think we just follow this guy for a little bit. Like Bezos is doing what he's doing, but that's a different company. And this guy is super just crushing it. And like the stuff that we know because of all the YouTube videos we watch and how we intrigued we are by him, there's
Sure.
a group out there that does it, that does that. But to your analogy the other day from our show, I bet you it's 1%, 10%, 89%. 1% actually trade, 10% are watching and
Mhm.
engage, looking up very
Engaged.
videos
Yeah.
and they're engaged. And then the other 89%,
Asking questions. Yeah.
they're asking questions are not doing anything. So it's like I feel as that 89% comes into
The
being
89% ain't doing shit. They're just
no.
lurking. Yeah.
But when that 89% like gets to like when it's down to 60, I'm talking about Tesla ownership.
Mhm.
When that gets down to about 60%, I mean, you're gonna be rolling in dough by that time. Rolling if you keep reinvesting in that company. That's all there is to it.
Well, I don't even know
They
how I
will
could put
dominate the market. They will dominate.
they already are there, honestly, dude. They're
Well, they
already there.
are, but it's people just haven't bought them yet. I think it's too high. The barrier to entry is too high.
They had record deliveries this past quarter, which is what made the stock go through the roof recently.
Wow.
And their goal was to ship 900,000 cars by the end of the year.
Wow. What's the next closest vehicle or, do you know
Well, all the big
manufacturer?
automakers like Ford and all them companies like Chevy and shit, they ship a million vehicles a year
You
easily.
see what Ford stock is? I almost bought it the other day. It's like $6.
That's because they're dying.
Yeah, I
They're
know.
a dying technology and they know
It's
it.
like the
They
number
can't
one
figure it out.
car. Besides the Tesla, that Ford F-150 is like the number one
I
selling car.
had that's what I have. That's what I drive and I still bash Ford.
Uh, no, that's true. It's just a sexy truck. I want one still. I don't care.
You know what's crazy is like, so you look into something like Tesla because you find it cool, right?
Yeah.
Let's just lay it out. I'm going to give you this whole thing. So you find it just cool, or maybe somebody else found it cool and you heard them talking about it, you check it out and then you're like, "Oh, that's cool too." Then you look into it a little bit more and you start watching, like you said, YouTube videos and shit, and you find out that this dude Elon Musk is running this company and you hear about the whole history and now it's even cooler, you keep going. And then you look into why Tesla got to be cool, or you know, why is Elon Musk doing all this crazy innovative shit with manufacturing? So you start looking into stuff with manufacturing, you start looking into like how it's made videos. I saw like Tesla plant, videos and stuff where they walk around and do like an interview with them and stuff and show, how the Tesla plant works. And because it's so high tech now, compared to like 5 years ago even. And all that stuff. So you're like, okay, how were cars made before? So I started watching like Ford videos and like videos of fucking BMW, or like auto companies back from like the 1800s in like freaking Germany with some kind of track on the roof and shit, testing cars, and like the history of automobiles, and you start getting into crazy stuff. And
Nice.
what I found out through this whole process is that automobile makers like Ford, like Chevy, like Toyota, like even like, like a Hyundai, or, all these companies that everybody loves to death that have been making all the cars for so long, have been playing a game with us. They make the car to only last so long. They make the thing to only last so long so that you have to pay more money on maintenance. You have to pay more money on, like upgrades or fixing your car, shit like that. And you always have these recalls. You see all these recalls all the time because they just do dog shit engineering and they put shit out before it's ready, and then something's messed up and it doesn't work well with this
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. And you get this shit all the time with these legacy automakers, and they don't even hide it. When you say, "Hey, why don't you just make a car that runs for 1,000,000 miles that never needs service?" They're like, "Well, where's the money in that?" That
Yeah.
was their answer. Legitimately, that was their answer. I saw that interview.
That's
So
awesome.
like when you see that shit, right? And you're like, holy cow, dude, the legacy automakers are purposefully making shitty cars. They're purposefully not innovating. They're not doing anything to make these cars any better from the 1980s, or something along the, that technology wise. Well, great. Yeah, they put in Bluetooth. Whoop de fucking do. My Bluetooth barely ever works. Like I'm saying, like they can't even get that shit right. And then all of a sudden, here comes Tesla, who's going to actually make the car right. They're going to build the whole entire factory to just knock it out, one car, and make that motherfucker perfect. And they're going to take technology that everybody else hasn't used yet, that has their head up their ass, and they're going to put it into this car, and they're going to make this car so fucking futuristic and so many light years ahead of everybody. They're going to iPhone the car industry, where
Yeah.
everybody's on a BlackBerry that looked like something that was out of 1986, with still like black and white fucking, like that text, old school text font and shit with no colors and stuff. We go from that to the iPhone. That was like, mind-blowing change. It was like somebody came from the future back and dropped this shit on our table. Well, Tesla did the same thing to the auto industry. And now you see like how truly shitty all these legacy automakers really were. And that's why they're all worth like $2 nowadays, because everyone's finally seeing, oh, this is what happens when a company actually gives a shit about what they're making and selling,
Uh,
versus what we've had for 30 years, 50 years, whatever.
yeah, it's hard to go in and upset those industries because a lot of times you can't afford to compete. Like try to go into like the soft drink industry for a long time. I mean, you
Oh
can't
yeah.
compete with Pepsi, Co, and Coke. You know,
And if
it's
you
like
do, they
they'll
just buy
always
you.
tell you, and that's what they'll tell you. Even in marketing schools, be like, oh, you can't compete with those guys. You can't. You're almost taught that you can't compete there. It's too much.
Yep.
But then you saw it happen in craft beer. So craft beer came out and they're like, well, look, we're little guys, but we can make specialty. And then I think specialty
Something
drinks, but
happened.
still, yeah, people are afraid to do. How are you going to do that? You got to have cash, right? You have to sell PayPal if you want to do something like that. But that
Yeah,
was
or
brilliant, Tony.
investors or somebody,
Yeah.
somebody to back your ass, because yeah, you end up getting bought anyway in most of those situations if you have investors, because they'll pressure you into selling. So like you have, Monster Energy, like you said, for energy drinks or something, you blow up, you're sponsoring everything known to fucking man. And And then all of a sudden Pepsi comes along and is like, "Oh, we want an energy drink fucking line because of how successful you are. How about we just give you 3 billion?"
Yeah.
And the guy's like, $3 billion to just go hang out and party in Miami? Sure." You know?
Yeah.
So there you go. So, no one's going to end up passing on that offer. So now, boom, Pepsi just gets bigger and now they're harder to compete against going forward. That happens in every single industry. And that's how you get these, monopoly megaliths that, that should be all facing antitrust laws, but they don't. And then, you, like you said, it just gets harder and harder and harder. But that's why you have to really give a shit. You have to do something different. That's how you disrupt. That's how you change the game, is you have to do something. You have to be truly fucking honest,
Yeah.
with yourself and with your customer and everything else. And that's why, like, you know, I think that's why Tesla works, is because they're like honest. Hey, look, we're telling you that this is, what the car's capable of. We're telling you that this is, what we can do to help out, to make sure that the car you buy today isn't going to be worthless in 5 years, because we're going to have the ability to upgrade this car through over the air wireless updates. You don't even have to bring the car into some service center. You don't have to deal with any of that bullshit. While it's in your fucking garage, it's going to update itself. And now when you wake up and you drive to work the next morning, it'll be able to go 5 miles an hour faster. It'll be smarter when it comes to, sensing its surroundings, because we'll have updated the autopilot software. It'll be better and have more applications on your screen. And, you can watch more Netflix, or you could do something else, and it'll add all this new shit. It'll add fucking horn noises so you can make your horn, the road runner, whatever the fuck it is. They just can do so much shit that everybody else can't.
No, dude, that's awesome. I don't think people look at it that way. I think they don't go deep enough into it. When you hear that romantic version, and whatever you can call it, romantic reel, but then that's the tie. And then you start backing companies like that. And your stock picking part, I thought was great. When you're buying companies that you're using every day, when you
Yeah.
love their
That you
stuff,
love. Yeah.
it's different than, you're not just apt to also sell it. If you're just like trading random mining or minerals companies or whatever, you don't even know, then you're apt to just put those around. But when it's brands that you know and you can sink into, it's
Right.
fun, man. You have that personal connection to it.
And but at the same time, you got to keep the emotion out of it. But you
Oh,
can, like you
100%.
said, if you go and you love Nike and you go to the store, you go to the Nike section at Dick's Sporting Goods, and you see everything is sold out. You see tons of people in there buying shit. Oh my God, it's worth, Nike's doing
Yeah.
good. But then if you go there and everything's on sale, nothing's being sold, everything's, crowded. There's nobody in the freaking Nike section. They're all in the Adidas section, or, something else. Then you're like, what's going on? So
So,
if you
yeah.
actually love those brands and use those brands, you can see when shit goes
So
wrong.
that's what I'm saying. So you have the attachment like to the brand, which means, yeah, on the macro level, I think trading on a macro level is really cool. When you look at maybe the front page of the Wall Street Journal, where you can grab a glimpse of everything. You're like, what's happening? Is there a war
Yeah.
somewhere? Da da
Yeah.
da. You can, if you're privy to find out when the president is traveling overseas, because when he
Yep.
has like a surprise visit to Iraq, you know, there's always stuff happening. Not
Yeah.
Iraq. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
trading macro level like that. Like you're right. Like when you're in a Starbucks and you're like, wow, this place is a gold mine.
Yes.
Then you think, well, maybe like In-N-Out Burger. There's a line
Yes.
wrapped around the wazoo. Like I don't even know if that's it.
Check
I'm
to see
sure.
if they're public. Yeah.
Like
That's what I do.
go do that. That's how
Who's
you
the
know
parent
that's
company?
macro level trading. It's
Right.
beautiful.
Exactly. Who's the parent company? Like, one of my buddies was asking me, so he's like, "How do I invest then? Show me how to do this so I can put some money in." And I'm like, "Well, I want you to take some ownership. So, and I want you to own things and parts of companies that you love." I'm like, give me an example of something that you love that you use all the time. And he said a great one. He's like, I know that Excedrin's the only thing that helps me when I have headaches. And I'm like, beautiful. That's a beautiful example. Let's look that up. Who's the parent company for Excedrin? I found that it was like Novartis or something, one of the drug companies,
Sure.
and they're a good company too,
Yeah.
and they have a great dividend and everything. And I'm like, boom! I didn't even know this, but you just picked a winner. You're right here. These guys are 4.5% yielder. They're a great company. They no, minimal debt. Boom! You just did it. That's all you have to do. So you just buy, a couple $1,000 worth of this stock and pick 5 of them, and you're off to the races.
That's awesome, dude. Let's wrap it. because that
Yeah,
was
we got it. It's about an hour deep.
we weren't even talking about planning to talk on stocks, but I'll tell you what, it was awesome. I mean, you're just a wealth of, I mean, on
Well,
everything.
I was addicted and I wanted to drop that on you because, like, I texted you and told you, I was like, dude, I got a way to hit escape velocity that's a lot easier than I
You
thought.
did say that, and so I'm gonna bust into that because
I'll send you
it
some links.
sounds like a lot of fun, you know,
Yeah,
dude.
it got super loud. Then now it's loud.
Yeah, we go
Yeah,
live weekly, I guess.
I'm
Always.
sorry. I'm sorry. It's just too darn loud. Isn't that what he says? Isn't that what Huey Lewis says in the gym?
Dude, you're so right.
I'm
Order
sorry.
and Chaos
You're just too
Podcast.
darn loud.
Order and Chaos Podcast at gmail.com if you want to email us.
On YouTube.
Chilling.
Peace, everybody. Thanks again, man. I'll talk to you in a little bit. We'll chat after I get back from the golf course.
Yeah. Take a swing. I want to see it.
Peace. I'll send some video.
Right.
Bye.